You're watching News 360 to some election-related stories, and the Institute of Democratic Governance, IDEG, has criticized the Electoral Commission for failing to engage civil society groups in resolving disputes around the voters' register and changing of date for this year's elections.
Well, the Electoral Commission has rejected these accusations, claiming that the existing IPAC and DIPAC meetings in the various districts have assisted in resolving those disputes.
According to IDEG, the Electoral Commission 2012 rejected concerns of the various civil society groups on the need to have electoral reforms. It again criticized the Electoral Commission for not engaging the civil society groups in resolving disputes surrounding the voters' register and also on the need to change the date for this year's elections.
The EC has gone back to the binary model of resolving conflicts over the electoral register and the electoral process with the parties. It has not started dealing with civil society groups, which was what it did towards 2012.
But the Commission has rejected those accusations.
At that forum, registered political parties are expected to be there, but civil society organizations and other observers also participate as observers. So it's open to civil society.
IDEG once again lashed out at the EC for failing to invoke its powers to compare the two major political parties, the NDC and the MPP, to submit its audited accounts. However, the EC rubbished those claims and said the two parties had already submitted its audited accounts.
The big parties, even though they delayed, but in fact they've submitted their accounts, which he didn't know, okay, before, they submitted. But I think the smaller ones did so before the big parties brought their audited accounts.
Meanwhile, the Electoral Commission says it has received the second and third tranches of funds for the elections and is yet to apply for the fourth tranche.
Findings by the Institute of Democratic Governance, IDEG, suggest there is high probability that Ghana could record its first post-electoral violence in the upcoming elections.
The findings attribute the causes of the probable electoral violence to growing mistrust and lack of confidence by Ghanaians in institutions set up to manage elections.
The Executive Director of IDEG, Dr. Emmanuel Akwete, gave the hint at a forum organized by WANEP and the National Peace Council in Accra. Dr. Emmanuel Akwete said the findings by the Institute suggested that Ghanaians have lost confidence in the existing institutions, citing over-politicization of these institutions. It again indicated that the two major political parties, the NDC and MPP, have resorted to the use of intemperate language which could trigger conflicts. The report, he said, further emphasized that the Electoral Commission should facilitate its reform programs on elections to restore the confidence of Ghanaians. The Executive Director asked government to initiate measures aimed at preventing a possible conflict.
The warning is that if greater care is not taken, we probably would have our first post-elections violence. And it will be a violence of a kind that either is a civil unrest, a chaos. A lot more has to be done. The warnings are there early enough, but the question is whether what we have done in 6 elections to secure peaceful outcomes of our elections, in spite of all the challenges, will be adequate for 2016.
Minister of Interior Prosper Bani assured government commitment to enforce the ban on vigilante groups before the elections.
I'd like to take this platform to advise all political parties to minimize or to distance completely from the activities of such rogue groups that have different names associated with them.
Meanwhile, WANEP and the National Peace Council have inaugurated the National Election Early Warning and Response Group, NEWAG. The group is mandated to put strategies which are in tandem with electoral laws. Again, it is to identify possible threats and report to the security agencies for prompt response.